Come on, seriously? Okay, sorry about that. My video decided to freeze on me. Okay, welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 138. This is being episodes 31 to 36 of Shinkenger. Now, the very first episode. Now we have several debuts in these episodes. Oh yes, definitely. Yes. In the case of 31, this one was quite interesting. We had a TV debut of the dinosaur one. Now, basically, the deal with this one is that a corrupt one has taken some nameless ones to a hospital. Yes, a hospital, and takes the kid hostage. He also beats up the kid's doctor, and well, the nurse who says she escaped, though she realized she actually was allowed to leave, earlier bringing Shinkenger in. So, luckily enough, basically, that they basically inform about what's going on. Of course, she was able to change clothes and be a nurse the whole time. And the first person she goes to is Genta, probably because he's outside, because he's on the outside, because he has his sushi cart. So and of course when she brings him to the rest of the Shinkengers, they're basically playing cards, and a loser gets drawn on their face. And apparently apparently Shuriken red and blue get their faces basically covered with ink, which is quite hilarious. They also poke fun of the cat lord thing, which happened just like a few episodes ago, which I thought was so funny. Yep. Now 31 is this the one here? No, I think it's the very next episode. Yeah, the very next episode, we actually return of two characters, which I get to that. So they listen to the woman's story, and of course they decided to go rescue him. And so Ganta came with the interesting idea by planting a special disc inside of the of the secret lantern. What this was, the dinosaur origami, which formed his sword into a shark one, which he's apparently Shuriken is surprised, like, oh, my dinosaur, cool. Puts it on special form, uses the web of the people, and sad thing happened. The kid's taking it's all about emotions. This one, and so the kid who's still hostage, the nurse taking hostage again. Heck, Genta is taken hostage after he is forced to he's forced to put down his sushi phone. So they go out to a area, and of course they fire on the area, and of course the guy's like, what are you doing? And eventually he's defeated at the very end, and of course, well, the kid's taken back to the hospital. He is informed at the start of it, he's able to go home in a month. What the heck he basically was having with the Cosby in the hospital for a whole month is completely unknown. Could be anything. They never specify exactly what medicine he's taking. Well, okay, you want to keep that class, but what the heck is everyone keeps him in the hospital for quite some time? Who the heck knows? 32 and 33 is debut of a new Zord. Yep, a brand spanking new Zord. The Bull Origami. Yes. Excuse me, it's a giant Zord, which this is basically a two-parter, which here's a strange fun fact. Its debut was also two-parter, as I remember this being a two-part episode. So they basically argue for a while, and the old man sees a kid lying in this gravel area. And why is he there? Well, because he wants Shinkengers. He wants the head of the Shiba House to free the Bull Origami. And apparently the current head did not know anything about it. So look up, they had research on it. And apparently the mountain comes from Mount Toshubi, I think it's pronounced name is, where apparently the clan itself originally came from there. And also, his family is charged with protecting the seal to protect the Zord, which apparently about a few hundred years prior to events of the series, where it apparently went on a rampage, and they had to seal it because it was too powerful, and they couldn't control it. So he came with a special disc to basically control them. And they take him, apparently he says, oh, he says they can't do it because it sounds like my grandpa. Now, here's the thing. In the Power Rangers equivalent, this actually was not the grandpa basically telling him, no, he can't do this. It was his father, Which, okay, I get the reason why they changed that from the grandfather to simply father to do this. Well, purely because basically it's a different style of how all the Americans perceive fiction like this, like where the father tells the kid no, and there's also a slight change here because in the Sentai, the old man loses his son and his daughter-in-law at mountain accident. He theorizes it was the bull, but they never say exactly what the heck caused the mountain accident. It could be they fell off the mountain. I'm not really sure. He theorizes that because it's revealed in this two-parter that his son was actually convincing his grandson to free the bull Zord. Well, the bull origami. I'm gonna call it origami because basically there is a bull Zord in Samurai. Like essentially, put this particular Zord has the same exact function as done in Samurai. Very little difference because it's Shinkenger and Samurai, two series that are so similar to each other. You get to see almost their same exact series. They just swap out the actors, a few plot points. This one I don't mind it because I don't mind the change they made in the Power Rangers one where it's like, oh, it's his father instead of his grandfather. Nothing really wrong with that. It just basically delivers a message. So, by the way, the grandfather, he looks a bit young to be his grandfather because usually grandfather, I think, is a much more older guy. This guy looks like probably in his 50s or 60s. Yeah, because my grandfather, the one who's still around, he actually is pushing 90 right now. Yes, seriously. He had just turned this year 85. Not 85. He turned 87 this year. Yes, 87. Yep. I have an 87-year-old grandfather. So, there's that. So, eventually, the bull is released. And in this two-parter is return of Dayu and Juzo. Juzo was able to survive the duel from episode 26. How? His sword broke in half, which we kind of saw. And somehow, Shuriken did finish him off. So, he's basically, they describe it in the Samurai, he's a sword for hire. Excuse me. In the Sentai, he's just doing a job for Asuru. Yep. Oh, and by the way, when it's revealed to the butcher himself, where, oh yeah, I recruited 2 cable pirates, Dayu and Juzo, and he gets up, and the butcher gets upset with it, so he proceeds to take his sword and stab in the guy's foot. Yep. Not sure, because he says, oh, that you gotta get permission for. Bringing your servants in is perfectly fine. But hiring skilled fighters, you gotta get permission for that. Since you broke his mission, but he allows it, no problem. And they worked together for many episodes prior to taking care of him, which I'll get him when we get to 43. Yep. But I like the bull origami's debut. His 2-part debut is fantastic. Eventually, of course, they do control him, and of course he gets a Zord mode, which later on I think it's in episode 35. They basically debut the combined all 11 Zords they basically have at this point into one humongous Megazord, which apparently the only way it can move. It can't exactly walk because it's so big. So the only way to move is basically by tank tracks. Yep, that happened in episode 35. It also appears in episode 36 as well. Now, what about 34? 34 is the debut of Shuriken Pink's father. Yes, her mother pops up at the end of the episode. This is a great standalone episode for her, where we get a lot of good backstory and development for her. Where apparently she was actually trained the samurai, not by her father. Of course, they joke and think he was Shuriken Pink. Oh no, it was his wife was Shuriken Pink. He was basically a businessman from outside the family who just married her. Yep. So he wants her to come home to Hawaii, because that's apparently where they're living now. No longer in Japan. The family's living in Hawaii. Why in the world Hawaii? They don't say. It's not really specified exactly why. They do explain that apparently after the previous battle with the corrupt ones, the previous Shuriken Pink was physically and mentally damaged to the point where basically her husband, who's now become her caregiver, so she's able to basically understand stuff, and she does miss her daughter. So basically, I think it's supposed to be her mother, the mother's mother, who basically raised her to be a samurai. And of course, he has to come home. He's like, nope, not doing that. And eventually, he's convinced basically to stay. But before they leave, he leaves, he reunites his daughter with her mother, and it's an absolute great scene. And I personally love it. I'd say by far it's one of the best episodes of Shinkenger. That's not like plot heavy with the whole thing with the corrupt ones. This is a character piece, and it's a really good episode. 35 is, despite the debut of the combined 11 Megazords, this is a Shuriken Blue episode. This basically is similar to what they did in Samurai, where with that one it's all about swim stuff because the guy is basically a swimmer. Him is all about pouring for a Kabuki act, which he's able to practice no problem, but they need to do a delay once he gets into production. But also the monster also eats his phone. Yes, eats his phone. And then joke like, okay, let's call a damn thing. And then the monster's like, hello, it's so funny. The fact that he answered the phone when it was in his hand. Because apparently when his monster eats is with his hand. So they had to grow the monster big because apparently in his second life, he's able to form a gigantic shield. Which, okay, that's interesting. Yep. But it's a damn good, another really good episode. Now, 36 is focused on Genta. This doesn't happen very often. Where basically you have the Shuriken Rangers eating sushi, and then of course basically Koa says, I want curry rice. And he's like, I'll get it right away. And he makes curry rice. And apparently it's so good, it attracts outsiders to his place. And apparently over the course of a few days, he becomes, he sells a lot of curry. And yeah, it's not exactly very fun for him to make curry because he is a sushi chef. Eventually, a shady businessman comes along. You can tell he's shady because he wears a gold chain. How is this guy not remember the Yakuza where he's wearing a gold chain around his neck? And this is when the businessmen wear gold chains around their necks. Excuse me. I had this suspicious feeling about this guy. He must be a gangster because only gangsters wear chains like that. Businessmen do not wear chains like that. If they do, they wear underneath their shirt, not basically was exposed like that. So, put your own curry restaurant. He's like, and eventually I was like, nope, I am not. I am a sushi chef. And after he yells at him and gets knocked picked up, he is never seen again. He basically, the whole thing with the curry stops and makes sushi. And everyone's like, it's average, it's okay. But Koa loves it, and that's the episode. Gotta admit, 6 really good episodes. I thoroughly enjoyed watching these episodes because we're getting good. We're getting some plot development, good character development in the course of these 6 episodes. Now, if you're curious though, did they ever do an episode for Samurai Pink? An episode for her in Power Rangers? I don't remember them ever doing one for her. No, not that I could think of. Oh, they kind of did one for her where it's basically, he ain't heavy, he's my brother. Yeah. Excuse me, yes. Yeah, they adapt this for an episode for Samurai, except the only problem is they actually don't adapt the whole thing involving her father for Samurai Pink, which is kind of weird that they don't really adapt that at all. To my knowledge, they don't really give a reason for it at all. They just don't. Yeah. It's by far one of the strangest things. Like, okay, we show off her brother, but we don't show off her, let's just say, her father. Yeah, as far as I remember, they don't really show the character's parents at all. Not really, no. It's kind of odd, to say the least. The fact they just happen to be like that. Yeah, but like I said, really good episodes. I kind of wish this episode was adapted for Power Rangers. in some way I wish it was, but it isn't. Sad enough it isn't. So yeah, that's episode of you. Now, yes, there's still also going to be Harem 11 in our world, but first, I'm going to do more Shinkenger first. Do 4 episodes, and then that'll be it, okay? Next video. Bye.